It sounds like the opening of a suspenseful or mysterious story. A girl or woman enters an old, abandoned mine just before a storm hits. That alone already creates tension because storms often symbolize danger, isolation, or something about to go wrong. Crawling into a mine shaft suggests it's narrow, dark, and unsafe, which adds a sense of risk and urgency. The detail about her going 60 feet in makes the situation feel more serious because she's now deep enough that turning back wouldn't be easy. She's committed to being inside, cut off from the outside world. Then comes the most unusual part. The rock was still warm. Normally, an abandoned mine would be cold and lifeless, so warmth suggests something is not right. It could mean recent activity, like someone else being there, or something natural but unexpected, like underground heat. It might also hint at something mysterious or even supernatural. The moment a person chooses to enter an old, abandoned mine just before a storm, the situation immediately feels tense and uncertain. There is a strong sense of urgency in that decision, as storms are often associated with danger, chaos, and loss of control. Dark clouds gathering in the sky, rising winds, and the possibility of heavy rain or lightning all suggest that something unpleasant is about to happen. Instead of staying in a safe place or finding proper shelter, the person moves toward a location that is already known to be unsafe, which adds another layer of risk. An abandoned mine is not a normal place to seek safety. It is typically unstable, dark, and possibly collapsing in places due to years of neglect. Wooden supports may be rotting, rocks could be loose, and the air inside might be stale or difficult to breathe. By choosing to enter such a place, the person is stepping into an environment that carries its own hidden dangers. Separate from the storm outside, this contrast between the outside threat and the inside risk makes the situation feel even more intense. The timing also matters a lot. Entering just before the storm suggests that the person may be trying to escape something. It might be the storm itself, but it could also hint at a deeper reason, like fear, desperation, or the need to hide. This decision feels rushed rather than carefully planned, which often leads to mistakes or unexpected consequences. The storm acts almost like a pressure force, pushing the person into making a choice they might not have made under normal circumstances. There is also a psychological aspect to consider. Walking into a dark, abandoned space requires a certain level of determination or desperation. Most people would hesitate because such places are often associated with fear of the unknown. The silence inside, the echo of footsteps, and the lack of light can make anyone feel uneasy. Choosing to go in despite these feelings suggests that the person believes staying outside would be worse, which raises questions about what they are trying to avoid. The environment around the mine adds to the tension as well. Storms can change landscapes quickly, making the ground slippery and increasing the risk of landslides or flooding. If water starts to flow into the mine, it could trap the person inside. Lightning strikes could also affect the surrounding area, making it even more dangerous to be near an old structure. All these possibilities create a sense that the decision to enter the mine might solve one problem but create several new ones. The idea of crawling inside immediately changes how the situation feels, because it suggests the space is not only dark, but also extremely confined. Unlike walking upright in an open tunnel, crawling means the person has very limited movement. They cannot stand, turn easily, or move quickly if something goes wrong. This physical restriction creates a strong sense of vulnerability, as the body is close to the ground and exposed to whatever might be present in that narrow space. The darkness inside such a place would feel much heavier when crawling. When a person is low to the ground, their field of vision becomes smaller, and whatever light source they have may not reach very far ahead. Shadows become deeper, and every small detail like uneven rocks or cracks appears more threatening. The silence can also feel louder, with every movement producing echoes that bounce off the tight walls. Even breathing might seem amplified, making the person more aware of their isolation. The tightness of the space adds another layer of discomfort. Walls pressing in from both sides can create a feeling of being trapped. especially for someone who is not used to such conditions. If the passage becomes narrower as they move forward, there may come a point where turning back is difficult or even impossible without effort. This can trigger a sense of panic, as the mind begins to imagine being stuck with no easy way out. The further they crawl, the more committed they become, which increases the tension. There is also the physical strain involved. Crawling over rough, uneven ground is exhausting. The person has to support their body weight with their hands and knees, which can quickly become painful, especially on sharp or jagged rocks. The surface may be damp, dusty, or unstable, making each movement uncertain. Slipping or losing balance in such a tight space could lead to injury. And even a minor injury becomes a serious problem when there is little room to move. The danger is not only from the structure itself, but also from what might be inside. Abandoned mines can be home to insects, small animals, or even hidden hazards like loose stones that could fall with the slightest disturbance. Crawling puts the person very close to these potential threats, increasing the chance of direct contact. The inability to react quickly makes every unknown element feel more dangerous. Psychologically, crawling creates a sense of helplessness. Standing upright often gives a feeling of control and awareness, but being forced to crawl reduces that sense of control. The person becomes more dependent on careful, slow movement, which can heighten anxiety. Every decision, such as where to place a hand or how to move forward, must be made with caution. This constant need for attention can be mentally exhausting. The act of crawling also emphasizes how isolated the person is. In such a position, communication with the outside world becomes nearly impossible. There is no easy way to call for help, and even if someone were nearby, the sound might not travel clearly through the narrow passage. This isolation makes the situation feel more intense, as the person is entirely on their own, in an unfamiliar and potentially dangerous environment. Moving 60 feet into an abandoned mine may not sound like a great distance at first, but in this kind of environment, it becomes very significant. Each foot deeper represents a step further away from safety and a step closer to uncertainty. At the entrance, there is still a connection to the outside world, including light, fresh air, and a clear path back. As the person continues inward, that connection gradually fades, making the situation feel more serious and more difficult to control. Distance matters more in a confined and dangerous space than it does in an open area. Walking or crawling 60 feet in a narrow mine shaft takes time and effort, especially when movement is slow and careful. By the time the person reaches that depth, turning back is no longer a simple decision. It requires the same amount of effort and focus as going forward, and the physical and mental strain may already be building. This creates a sense of commitment, as if the person has already invested too much to easily retreat. The further inside they go, the weaker the natural light becomes. At some point, the entrance may no longer be visible, leaving the person surrounded by darkness. This loss of visual connection to the outside can feel isolating and unsettling. Without that point of reference, it becomes harder to judge distance and direction, increasing the risk of disorientation. Even if the path seems straightforward, the lack of clear markers can make everything feel the same, adding to the confusion. Air quality can also change with depth. Near the entrance, there is usually some airflow, but deeper inside, the air may become stale or heavy. Breathing might feel slightly more difficult, especially if the mine has not been used for a long time. This subtle change can increase discomfort and make the person more aware of their surroundings. The body reacts to such conditions, and even small differences in air quality can add to the overall sense of unease. There is also a psychological effect tied to how far the person has gone. Reaching 60 feet inside can create a mental barrier. The thought of returning may feel just as challenging as continuing forward, which can lead to hesitation. The person might begin to question their decision, but feel unsure about what to do next. This inner conflict adds tension, as they are caught between the desire for safety and the need to keep moving. Another important aspect is the increased risk of becoming trapped. The deeper the person goes, the more difficult it becomes to escape if something unexpected happens. A collapse, a sudden blockage, or even a simple misstep could prevent an easy exit. The distance amplifies these risks because help would take longer to reach them, and they would have fewer options to respond quickly. Being 60 feet inside means they are no longer close enough to simply rush out if danger appears. The sense of commitment grows stronger with each step. It is no longer a brief exploration, but a situation where the person is fully involved. Their choice to go that far suggests determination, curiosity, or even desperation. Whatever the reason, the depth emphasizes that they are not just passing by, but actively entering a place where control is limited and the outcome is uncertain. The detail about the rock being warm stands out because it does not match what most people would expect from an abandoned mine. Typically, such places are cold, damp, and lifeless due to lack of sunlight and airflow. The ground and walls usually hold a steady chill, especially deep inside where outside temperatures have little influence. When the person notices warmth instead, it immediately creates a sense that something is unusual and possibly wrong. Warmth in this setting suggests that there is a source of heat nearby, or that something has recently changed in the environment. One possibility is that there has been recent activity. If someone or something has been inside the mine not long ago, their presence could have caused the rock to feel warmer than expected. This idea introduces uncertainty because it means the person may not be alone. The mine, which seemed abandoned, might actually be in use or visited, adding a layer of tension and potential danger. Another possibility is a natural cause. Underground environments can sometimes hold heat due to geological activity. There might be pockets of warmth caused by friction, pressure, or even deeper heat sources beneath the surface. However, this kind of warmth is not something an ordinary person would expect to encounter in a simple abandoned shaft. Because it is unfamiliar, it can make the person feel uneasy, as they cannot easily explain what they are experiencing. The sensation of warmth can also affect how the person interprets their surroundings. Up to this point, the mine may have felt predictable in its danger, dark, narrow, and unstable. The unexpected warmth disrupts that predictability. It signals that there are hidden factors at play, things that cannot be seen or understood right away. This uncertainty increases fear because people tend to feel more threatened by what they cannot explain. There is also a psychological reaction to such a detail. When something does not match expectations, the mind begins to search for reasons. This can lead to suspicion and anxiety. The person might start imagining different scenarios, some realistic and some more alarming. Even if there is a simple explanation, the lack of immediate clarity can cause the imagination to fill in the gaps with more troubling possibilities. This makes the environment feel more dangerous than it already is. The warmth can also suggest that the mine is not as abandoned as it appears. It challenges the idea that the place is empty and forgotten. If the rock is warm, it implies change, movement, or presence. This shifts the situation from one of isolation to one of possible encounter. The person may begin to feel watched or followed, even if there is no direct evidence of another presence. This emotional response adds to the overall tension. Physically, the warmth might seem comforting at first, especially if the person has come in from a cold or stormy environment. However, that comfort quickly turns into concern when they realize it is out of place. Instead of providing relief, it becomes another reason to question the safety of the space. The contrast between expectation and reality makes the warmth more unsettling than reassuring. The overall scene works in a way that builds a strong sense of mystery and suspense from the very beginning. Each detail adds a layer of tension, making the situation feel uncertain and slightly unsettling. The combination of an approaching storm, an abandoned mine, a narrow passage, and the unexpected warmth inside creates an atmosphere where nothing feels completely safe or predictable. These elements do not just describe a place. They create a mood that pulls attention and keeps the mind focused on what might happen next. Suspense grows when there are unanswered questions, and this scene naturally creates many of them. The person entering the mine is already a curious action, especially with a storm coming. This makes the audience wonder about the reason behind that choice. It suggests that something important or urgent is driving the decision. The more unusual the action, the more it encourages curiosity, as people try to understand what is really going on beneath the surface. The setting itself plays a big role in maintaining that curiosity. An abandoned mine is a place full of unknowns. It is dark, enclosed, and largely hidden from the outside world. This kind of environment makes it easy to imagine hidden dangers or secrets waiting to be discovered. Because the person moves deeper inside, the sense of isolation increases, and with it, the feeling that anything could happen without warning. This uncertainty keeps the mind engaged, constantly thinking about possible outcomes. The detail of the warm rock adds a turning point in the scene. Up until that moment, the danger feels mostly physical, such as the risk of collapse or getting lost. Once the warmth is introduced, the situation shifts into something more mysterious. It hints that there may be a hidden cause, something not immediately visible or understood. This change deepens the suspense because it expands the range of possibilities, making the situation less predictable. Another important aspect is how the scene encourages imagination. Instead of explaining everything clearly, it leaves space for interpretation. The audience begins to create their own ideas about what might be happening. Some may think of natural explanations, while others might imagine something more unusual or even threatening. This open-ended quality is what keeps the curiosity alive, as there is no single clear answer to what is happening inside the mine. The emotional response is also a key part of the suspense. The situation creates a mix of feelings, including tension, concern, and anticipation. There is a sense that something significant is about to happen, even if it has not happened yet. This feeling keeps attention focused as the mind waits for the next development. The deeper the person goes, the stronger this anticipation becomes, building toward a moment where the unknown may finally be revealed. The scene also uses contrast effectively. The storm outside represents one kind of danger, loud, chaotic, and visible. The mine inside represents another kind, quiet, hidden, and uncertain. Moving from one into the other does not reduce the risk, it simply changes its form. This contrast adds depth to the situation, showing that danger can exist in different ways, and that escaping one problem can lead directly into another.